Well, hello and welcome back, and a huge thank you for coming back. I'm sitting at one of my favourite places. This is Mandurah Beach. We are approaching the end of January. It's a little bit breezy. The sun is up in the sky somewhere behind those clouds, and it is setting. But there are people walking along the beach, and if we look very, very carefully in the distance over there, there are a couple of guys. I don't know what they're called, but they've got like surfboards with like a sail. Is it sailing? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Drop it in the comments. Is it kiting, kayaking? I don't know. But they're having the time of their lives, as am I. A lot of people want to come to Cyprus. A lot of people dream of coming to Cyprus. But a lot of people get confused. A lot of people, shall we say, misunderstand immigration. Misconceptions. Now, does that happen because the people are influenced by other people? Possibly. A lot of people spend a lot of time on the internet researching, perhaps moving to Cyprus, moving to America, moving to Australia, and they read the criteria and then they start to ask questions on Facebook to family, to friends, to people that they meet on their travels. And often, perhaps the question that they're asking is misinterpreted, and the reply they get is, again, misinterpreted. And this is where the confusion comes in. What am I talking about? Well, 3 months. What's he talking about? 3 months? What are you on about? 3 months. 3 months. So, primarily, the people that watch this channel are from the UK. This applies to anybody, by the way, though. If you come to Cyprus, you have 90 days in any 180 days, okay? That is the maximum amount of time that you can reside in Cyprus before you have to register with the immigration services. So, what does that mean? Well, what it actually means is you could come to Cyprus on day one, and on the 89th day, register yourself with the immigration service of Cyprus, and they will then give you a slip of paper that says your application is in the process. And now you can still reside in Cyprus until your application is obviously approved, then you can continue to stay here, or if your application is denied, and then of course you would leave the country. I hope you understand what I just said. So a lot of people are confused. I can only stay in Cyprus for 90 days. Well, that's true, but not true. If you're not going to go through the immigration process, 90 days. So on the 90th day, you have to depart the island of love. Otherwise, well, you can get a fine. I don't think Cyprus would impose a big fine anyway, if you were a few days over, okay? I don't think they would stop you coming back to Cyprus. It's not really in their interest, is it? You made a little mistake, you're over by a few days, there you go. It's only if you're over by a long, long time. Then they understand that perhaps you were doing something else and breaking the rules, shall we say. So the 90-day rule means that anybody, and I mean anybody, can come here for 90 days, and then they either leave or they register with the immigration service and start the process of commencing their residency in Cyprus. Then they will go down the pink slip route or the yellow slip route. There is also a blue slip as well if you're a student and those kind of things, but we don't talk that much about that on this channel because the primary people that want to come to Cyprus are either from the UK or they are EU nationals or they are from Russia, etc., etc. And of course there are many countries who have the right of stay, shall we say, due to refugee status, for example, Ukrainians. Okay, and there are many other nationalities as well. So the 90-day rule applies to everybody, not just British nationals. You know, I know we're the most hated people in the world. We are, shall we say, paying for the crimes that we may have committed a long time ago, or as currently, I'm not talking about Brexit, but for that crime, the EU is now making most British people pay for it. But of course, most of the British people that are watching the channel, most of the people are getting in contact with us, and it is 2 or 3 a day, by the way. Now, obviously, not all of those people will make the move. A lot of people are investigating and asking questions and looking at the opportunity, perhaps if they were to come to Cyprus, perhaps next year, or in 5 years' time, or perhaps in 20 years' time, isn't it? But of course, lots of things can change over the years. So most people that I speak to are planning to come to Cyprus literally tomorrow, in the next 3 months, 6 months, or perhaps next year. And they're now starting to gather their information and find people like myself and Marika and our team that can help you. And that's the important bit, isn't it? Finding people that you can trust and finding people that are going to help you to achieve your goal. In this case, moving to Cyprus. Whether you are a retiree, whether you are going to run your company from Cyprus, whether you wish to set up a company in Cyprus, this is the team that we have around us. And many people know it, and many people have used our services. I mentioned in a previous video only a couple of days ago, our Icelandic friends now are residents in Cyprus. They have their yellow slips, so they can do whatever they wish, and now they can sort out their tax numbers and their GESI, that's registration with the Health Service of Cyprus, which they've engaged us to do on their behalf as well. So big hello to Bjorg, and a big hello to my mate Sveni. Thank you very much, and hopefully you'll enjoy your new car that I helped you to find as well. So back to misconceptions. So I think the number one misconception when we talk about coming to live in Cyprus is, well, I can't stay any longer than 90 days. So if I come out there for 6 weeks, then I start the immigration process. If it doesn't done within the 90 days, I've got to leave. That's not true. I was on Facebook last night reading some of the comments and answers and replies and questions, and this seems to come up an awful lot. And one lady asked, how long does it take to get your immigration appointment? What does that mean? So you've registered, okay? So you've registered to get your appointment. You're going to take all your paperwork. They're going to check it all, either approve you or reject you. That's their choice, isn't it? How long does that take? And she was saying around about 90 days, 3 months. And some of the comments or replies to that one were, oh my God, that means I can't do it, because I can only stay in Cyprus for 90 days. So if I come to Cyprus and then fill in the application and then they say the appointment's in 3 months or 3.5 months, I can't stay in Cyprus. That's not true. You've registered with the Immigration Service and they have told you, it's not your fault now, they have told you that your appointment is in 96 days, for example. That means you are allowed to stay in Cyprus until you have that appointment and until the outcome of that appointment is achieved, shall we say. Hopefully they approve you. If they don't, they will then give you a stay of execution. I believe it is 14 days to exit the country, or of course to go down the appeal process. Now obviously the customers that we're dealing with will not be going down the appeals process, and of course they will not even be rejected, because we will have already asked those questions, already checked the paperwork, and already ensured that they are going to achieve their goal of the pink slip or the yellow slip, like in the case of Sveni and Bjorg. They were taken to Nicosia, and I believe, well, they actually said to me on the way back, they believed us, but they didn't believe us, if you understand me, because no one actually ever believes anything until they receive the end result. In this case, the yellow slips. And we arrived in Nicosia at just after 10. The traffic was very light. We hung out in the coffee shop next door to the immigration office. Our girl, her name is Georgia, she came and sat down, very efficient, with all of her paperwork. She checked 1 or 2 things, 1 or 2 signatures were required, and then we proceeded into the queue. Now, don't understand me now wrongly, please, don't misunderstand me. There was a huge queue, as there always is going to be at most immigration offices. The privilege of using an immigration specialist means that we are able to jump the queue. We had to wait for about 15 minutes outside while we got permission to go in, but once we went in, we sit down, it's nice and cool, it's relaxed, and Georgia does her thing. 1 hour later, Sveni and Borg received their yellow slips, and the look on their faces was like, oh my God, you are now a resident of Cyprus. And the best place to do it is in Nicosia. Why? Because of course that's the head office. All the other offices, Paphos, Limassol, Larnaca, they are satellites. So if you go to those offices, it can be a little bit chaotic. The paperwork has to be sent to Nicosia. You'll be given a slip of paper to say that your application is in process, but you will not receive your yellow slip because those offices are not in a position to actually grant that yellow slip or pink slip or blue slip or whatever slip that you are applying for. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't give you your relevant slip. They can. Once the process has been authorised by Nicosia, you could then go back to the Paphos, the Limassol, the Larnaca office on that set date and receive your paperwork. But if you go to Nicosia, it's just much, much faster. Yeah, okay, it's 2 hours each way. But if you know when you get there that you're going to have people to help you, and those people, as I said to Björg and Sveni, we are 99.9% sure that within 1 hour we will leave the office and receive your yellow slips. You always have that little element of doubt, but 99.9% of the time, that's not true actually. 100% of the time, we have achieved the goal that our clients have requested. But I always say 99.99%, because there is always that small chance that maybe something has changed in the rules in that processing time. Our girl Georgia, like I say, is very, very proficient, and she's constantly checking the rules because the rules change. What you did last month, maybe this month something's slightly different. I've referenced now quite a few times over the last couple of months, a rental contract has to be in the applicant's names, and it has to be for a period of 12 months, and you must have preferably 2 utility bills in your names corresponding to that address. But on top of that, the most important part is you must have the actual tax reference number of the owner of the property that you are renting, whether it be a company or whether it be a private individual. If you don't have that on your rental contract, it's a waste of time. It doesn't matter how much paperwork you've got, they are going to reject it. So bear that in mind. The rules are always changing. I might sit here next month and say they've abolished that or they've added something else. Who knows? At the end of the day, we are in the hands of the Immigration Authority of Cyprus, and of course whichever other country that you are trying to move to, they will have their rules. So it's not complicated. We think it's pretty easy as long as you follow the rules. So engage someone like ourselves, ask questions on forums, ask questions on Facebook, but don't take those answers as gospel, because sometimes they are not quite right, or shall we say they are applying the question to themselves, and that question is not quite the same when it's applied to you or to somebody else. Okay, so misunderstandings, misconceptions. Often on Facebook people talk about how much income to English people, British people. I'm British, I'm Welsh, there you go. You can make all the little jokes. They've got the wellies in the car. So, any sheep? No, not today. A bit windy for sheep. Anyway, could do with a fur coat though, couldn't we? No, that's illegal, isn't it? A woolly coat. Now, so often questions again are, how much income do I need to prove if I want to come and live in Cyprus as a British expat? Well, again, after Brexit, the rules changed. But basically, as of today, a single person, so male or female, would require to prove an income of approximately 24,000 euros. So let's make the math simple. That's about £20,000 per annum. You would also need the capability to be able to deposit £9,000, 10,000 euros into a Cypriot bank account. Okay, this would qualify you on a financial point of view for immigration. If you are a couple, you will require I'm going to round it up, call it 30,000 euros, £25,000. If you've got dependents, let's say you've got one child under the age of 18 years of age, you're going to need another, to make it simple, £4,000, 5,000 euros. If you've got two, you're going to need £8,000, 10,000 euros. Okay? Most of the people that we speak to on a daily basis have got an income far, far in excess of that. Most people coming to reside in Cyprus have probably got an income in excess of £40,000, 50-ish thousand euros. Otherwise, they're probably not going to have that good a time when they come to Cyprus. Now, that's not to say that you can't come to Cyprus and live on half of that, because you can, okay? So don't be thinking that if you are a singleton, male or female, and your income is £24,000, 25,000 euros, that you can't reside in Cyprus, because you can. Because obviously you don't need a gigantic villa. One bedroom, sizable apartment would suffice. You could live literally on the fringe of Paphos and find that apartment for probably 800, 900 euros per month. Okay, now I'm in euros again. I know it's confusing. Your bills on that apartment, you're on your own. So water, your electricity, your internet, allowed for a mobile phone as well. That's going to cost you probably around 100-ish euros, subject to how much electricity you're using. So let's say 150 on a high side for all of your bills. So that's your council tax, as we'll call it. That's going to be about 20 euros a month, by the way. Your mobile phone, about 15 euros a month. Your electricity, about 70, 80 euros a month. Okay, you've got to buy a gas bottle now and again. If you're cooking like crazy, perhaps you're going to buy a gas bottle every 3 months. That's going to cost you 20 euros. So we always talk about people who've got incomes of 40, 50, 60,000 pounds or euros. But there are many people that come and live in Cyprus that, shall we say, have a very good income, don't get me wrong, but they're not in that league. So they've got an income of around about £24,000, 28,000-ish euros, shall we say, and they have a very good lifestyle, because their apartment, shall we say, and their bills easily are going to be less than 1,200 euros a month. So that still leaves them with, you know, for argument's sake, 1,000 a month, and all you're doing is buying food. Okay, you haven't got a car, I understand that bit. That's the bit that's going to eat your money like crazy, isn't it? So you haven't got a car, you use the bus, but of course if you live in a central area where all the supermarkets, the shops, the pharmacies are, you're on foot. Yeah? So don't be thinking that you can't reside in Cyprus on £24,000. You can. And I speak to people literally, definitely every week, and they are in this dilemma. You know, my income is not up where you say it needs to be. Well, I don't say it needs to be 50,000. I say it has to be £24,000. It has to be. Otherwise, you can't come and live in Cyprus. So it's as simple as that. But you could live on less, obviously. It depends on what lifestyle you want. But talking about lifestyle and talking about money, probably if you're watching this channel, the weather is much, much better. So that's part of your lifestyle. Walking around, that's part of your lifestyle. The friendliness of the people, whether they be local Cypriots, friendliest people I've ever met, by the way, or whether they be expats. Perhaps I'm not friendly all the time, but most of the time, most of us are very, very friendly. When we live in a foreign country, we tend to have a different outlook on life. We tend to think, you know, I've done well. I don't mean financially, but I mean, you think, I've done well. You know, lots of my friends that I speak to, they complain and they talk about the weather and the daily drag. That's not normally a conversation that foreign expats have when they sit around in a coffee shop. Immaterial of nationality, they will often say, you know, look where I live. Yeah. You don't hear them saying, you know, I can't afford a Ferrari, I can't afford a Bentley. They will say, look where I live, and you know, I get to drink a coffee, it's €3. I understand you can buy a coffee for £2.50 in many places in the UK, perhaps in many places in France and in Germany, but probably on average, it's going to be £3.50 or €4.50. So it's cheaper to buy coffee in Cyprus. The simple things in life. We don't want to talk about smoking, but a lot of people do smoke. To buy cigarettes, to buy cigars, I know it varies a lot, but to buy them in the UK as opposed to Cyprus, here, 1/3 of the price. Germany, 1/3 of the price. When we go to Finland and places like that, 1/5 of the price. So if you are a naughty, naughty person that smokes and drinks, a lot of people do, and coffee, it's cheaper to do it in Cyprus. So the point of the video, like I say, was misconceptions. So when you ask someone a question, face to face, it's easy to get that answer, isn't it? But when you just ask the question on a forum like Facebook, you will get them misunderstanding the question that you're asking, and then they'll give their reply, and of course then you misunderstand the reply as well. So the key ones at the moment are, how much money have I got to have to live? Ask someone like ourselves on your circumstances and we'll tell you. The other one is, well, you know, I've heard that you can't get an immigration appointment for 2.5 months, 3 months, 4 months. That means I can only stay there for 90 days, so I can't go down the immigration process. Not true, okay? That's not true at all. And there are many, many other misconceptions. And I understand there are many people who will say, oh, well, you know, what he's saying is wrong. No, I'm not. What I'm saying is right. And we have clients to prove what I'm saying is right. And every client that we've taken to Nicosia Immigration Office in the last 6 months have all come out with either a pink, if that's what they wanted, slip, or a yellow slip, okay? So sometimes it's easier to go down the pink slip in year 1, and in some cases it's easier to go down the yellow slip. Everyone's circumstances are different. Reach out to us, we'll answer your questions. You can get in contact with us via the website marikaandme.com, drop us a message. Of course, you can email us at relocatetopaphos@gmail.com, alternatively relocatetocyprus@gmail.com, and of course my WhatsApp number is in the description on this little episode. So get in contact with us and let us hold your hand. Remember, you're going to do it once, so make sure you do it right and take away all the frustrations and the misunderstandings, and be standing in the Nicosia Immigration Office a little bit worried, but putting a brave face on it, wondering, am I going to get my yellow slip? And then cha-chunk, cha-chunk, there's your yellow slips. Woohoo! Let's drive back to Paphos. Huge thank you for watching. I look forward to your company again very, very soon indeed. And right on cue, as we can see, the sun has come out. Look at that. And a bit of gardening as well, by the way. See, they've cut all the hedge down and they've been pruning the tree. But there you go. The sun is setting on top of the blue, 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 blue Mediterranean Sea. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon indeed.